And we are live. It is 1:14 a.m. I couldn't really sleep. It is the 26th of February. And lately, since my K-hole journey has ended, or I hope it's over, I've been getting a lot of, I don't want to say flashbacks, but essentially flashbacks, memory flashbacks of terrible times. And the issue was, too, is that while I was in the K-hole, they had other people in it with me. So there was people who stole my identity, like I said. And like I said, when you're under it, under that spell in the drugs, in the hypnosis and hypnotics, you can be susceptible to, as Mike Tyson calls it, skullduggery. And what I mean by that is they can hypnotize you to make you think things aren't there. I thought of that one circumstance where my daughter's supposed friend, we'll call her Flatly, and we'll call her idiot mom, the blonde dummy. So Flatly and the blonde dummy and the blonde dummy's gay husband wanted to play these fucking games with me. And so they hypnotized me a few times and made me forget about my daughter in the car, in which I eventually remembered, and then I heard people yelling one time. But that's the kind of fucking games that were going on. And they were never prosecuted. I got a call from, speaking of my kids' deaths, and supposedly Flatly, the big dumb idiot, or the big blonde dumb idiot, and her gay husband abducted my kid and took her to out west somewhere, and they killed her, and they never were prosecuted for it. I got a call from the either Montana or Wyoming, not mortuary, but I'll think of the name, where they, bring dead people and do autopsies. Morgue. One of the morgues in Montana by Yellowstone. I got a call from the morgue saying my daughter was brutally murdered at Yellowstone by Flatly, her mom, the big dumb blonde idiot, and her gay husband. And then the thing is that the mortuary person, or the medical examiner, told me he was doing a gratuity call, and I absolutely melted down. I said, "What happened?" He said, "They beat her to death, they drowned her, and they shot her full of arrows. And then they put it up online." And that was the other thing I had a memory of getting in a fight with somebody here in Milwaukee over them showing me a video of some of my family members killing my kid in a park, shooting my young daughter. She must have been 4, 5, 6, a little baby. And they've still never been prosecuted. So I get a call from the people in Montana, the guy who's running it, and he tells me this strange message. He goes, "I'm giving you this gratuity call, and just so you know, if you call back here, the FBI is going to be coming after you." And I said, "Fucking for what, bro?" I said, "For what?" I said, "I thought she was with her mom going to Yellowstone. I didn't know that Flatly And the dumb blonde idiot and her gay husband abducted her. So he said, if you call and ask for the autopsy and everything else, and he said it was brutal, and I just told him, shut the fuck up, quit telling me, you know, um, about it. And I want the autopsy report in a copy of it. And he said, if you call for it, the FBI is going to investigate you. And I just told him, I said, fuck you. I said, for what? He goes, they think, um, I forget the way that he worded it. Um, they want to know why you would send your kid with this person. And I said, then have him fucking come talk to me. I said, because I didn't. I said, she was with her mom. I said, the cops even came beforehand because I got her some items and I had the cop check their IDs. And the cop said it was her mom. So she's supposed to go with her mom and her mom's boyfriend to Yellowstone. And then I got that call. And then I got a call from one time where was it? Somewhere in Appleton. I got a call from there. Same thing, coroner's office, saying they found my daughter in Appleton, one of them. And, I try to look up these obituaries of my kids, and I can't find them. And that's another thing they can do under the K-hole and under hypnosis and under hypnotics in this type of I don't want to say MK Ultra bullshit, but these type of drugs, and that's why I don't support them. Is I go to look for them, and I know that some of them are gone, but I can't find the obituaries. I tried to call the coroner's office for both places, and I only got the Montana one, and then I gave him the name of the kid, and he said nope. I gave him all versions of what I thought it could be. He said nope. And then the fucked up thing is I gave him one last one, and there was no noise when he did it. And then the last one, there was like a bunk, and he said nope. And I don't know if it was just like too many searches, but that is another situation where there was no justice for my kid. And Flatley's mom never went to jail. Her gay dad never went to jail. And they need to go to jail. They need to go to prison for the rest of their lives, and so does Flatley. Now, with the Appleton one, I never got to go to see that one until the time that my sister died, and then or supposedly died. And that was another thing that the big fat pig at my daughter's school kept saying, is that it was Joyce. And I didn't believe her. She said, when I see the picture, I see my sister, but really it's my kid. But that's the other thing. Because supposedly one of my kids got abducted a long time ago, and my ex-wife never told me. The police never told me. Society never told me. And there was no search for, and I knew something was wrong. But that's what I mean, is that there's no fucking justice, and nobody is ever held responsible for the atrocities that they've committed and for the abuse that they've done. Like today I saw that they fired 10 people, plus I forgot 4 more something else at the Milwaukee VA, but that whole VA in Milwaukee needs to be reset from top to bottom. Boom. everyone needs to be shit canned. And I know a bunch of veterans that think so too. You know, um, so I kept having uh, memories and flashbacks of terrible things that happened, of being attacked, my kid dying. Like I remember I went to uh, two of my kids' funerals, and it was the worst feeling in the world. I don't wish that on anybody. And I remember one directly that uh, my daughter, I'm pretty sure they tried to bury her alive, because when I got to her casket, she had tears running down her face. And she lit her arm like lifted up, and then I was like, "There's no fucking way she's dead." And I told her mom, but um, it somebody hit me in the back of the head and knocked me out. And all of a sudden, I fucking woke up, and I was in my car with a uh, big giant cut on my head and blood all over my face. And that's part of the trauma of recovering. And it's hard because when you lose a kid, it's almost like you want to go meet them. It's like you don't want to live anymore. But I have one that I currently see that I hope there's no fuckery with it. And, I have to try to stay strong for her, and I have to. Um, exact justice for the ones that were killed and murdered and raped, and the one that was abducted. Um, and the sad thing is that people were breaking in my house for a long time and stealing stuff. And I know it was some of my family members because I set them up. I put things out. And my aunt, one of the ones that tried to kill me, came over, and I'm not having her over anymore because I remembered she was part of it too. Um, she was stealing stuff and replacing it. And one time I got a new computer, or I got a computer, and I went to go log in, and everything was logged out. And that's like, come on, bro. And then I went to upload pictures, and there was no, I didn't have memory of a lot of the shit that was on that fucking computer, you know. And then I came home one time, and there was phones that were stolen a long time ago that all of a sudden fucking arrived at my house. And I went through the photos, and I don't remember half or more than or a lot of those photos. And then I saw photos of um, I don't want to say bad stuff, but stuff where I was like, what? And I know for a while that a few of my kids moved away, and the teachers at my daughter's school, where my daughter was murdered, and that giant fat hippo who kept talking about my daughter getting killed, and she said she was part of it too. She said that she took part in all the killings of my kid, and set the killings up. And she claimed she worked for the FBI. So I hate that bitch, and I do hope she sits forever in prison. Um, and then I got a memory of, because I don't remember a lot of my baby mothers. I just don't. I was sexually irresponsible, and that was um, something I shouldn't have done. I should have been more responsible with how I was doing things with women. But, I have my photos of my kids who have passed up. And I called an escort one time that knew one of my exes. And she came over, and I remember her saying, "Oh my God, you're him." And I went, "Well, what are you talking about?" And she said, you're the one that so-and-so told me about. And I said, "What are you talking about?" And she gave me her real name, and I was like, "Oh, my ex-wife." And she went, "Yeah." And she said, "I was told that you have anger problems and you'll beat me up and this and that." And I said, "No." I said, "I'm actually not here for um, sexual gratification. I need your help with finding who my children's mothers are so I can get some sort of closure." And she walked me through it. And it was hard. And I gave her a hug and paid her. And the great feeling about it was she called my ex-wife. I'm trying to give her the right moniker. She's the one that dates El Gato. We'll call her. We'll stick to Areola right now. And so Areola was on the phone, and she's like, "Oh, be careful so he doesn't grope you or try to get you pregnant." And the girl was sitting with me and having a soda. And she was actually, he's a really nice guy, and you're full of shit. And the lady told her off. She said, "You're such a fucking bitch. You're such a liar and such a fucking bitch." Because I had a kid with areola, and that was one that supposedly went missing. But I remembered the day that she was killed. And she's to blame for that one. She gave my kid to the murderers purposely, and they murdered her. They suffocated her in a car and threw her in a dumpster. And I remember her. We were at Brookfield Square Mall, and I remember her areola just being a real hag. And I don't cry too often, and I don't shake or shimmer unless it's really cold. But I was so worked up that I was shaking. And I remember I told her, "I'll do whatever it takes." I said, "You can have my VA money." I said, "You can have whatever the fuck you want." I said, "Just please get her back." And I gave her a hug, and I was shaking. And she goes, "Huh, you're shaking." And I said, "Yeah, because I just lost the one thing that meant everything to me." So she called the bitch who she gave her to. And the lady said, "She's already dead. I already killed her. She's in the dumpster." And I remember I ran to the dumpster and started doing CPR. And Ariola kept telling me to quit. And I don't know whatever happened to her. I don't remember the funeral. Again, I woke up with a bloody head and a big lump on my skull. And part of telling this story is to work on my being vulnerable, because I do stand-up comedy, or I try to, and I realized there was some bad shit that happened at the comedy club, and there was a few scumbags there. And the kid And it's like the people who haven't been arrested and gone to prison for killing my kids or abusing me or assaulting me or stealing from me or trying to kill me. It's like they purposely throw jabs at me because I was at the comedy club and my one daughter liked My Little Pony and there was something he said about it or that brought it up and then he started laughing and instantly all the shit that he did from the past and during that time on ketamine, boom, it came back like instantly. You know, he stole stuff from my daughter. He broke in my house, stole stuff from my daughter, painted his face like her at the comedy club and was talking shit because he knew my former aunt that's married to my uncle who resembles the Pringles guy or has the Pringles guy mustache. So he knows her and that dickhead. I mean, his nephew is a piece of shit scumbag, so comedy's over for me now. You know, and he gave me these interim messages during my time in this K-hole of, I'm going to see this, I'm going to see that, I'm going to see this, I'm going to see that. And that's when I know I'm supposed to be killed or have people coming after me. And that's part of why I'm doing this podcast, to leave pieces so in case something does, because I'm not suicidal, I'm not depressed. Do I have bouts of it when I think about my kids dying? Yeah. Like, I don't have combat trauma. You know, a little bit of like, I don't even say childhood trauma. I'm over the childhood shit, but mostly I just mourn my children, I should say. And that's really the only thing that keeps me going is making sure that the people who did what they did to them and to me go to fucking prison. And then I'll be ready to die. You know, I told you when I took ketamine that I saw the truth, and that's all I ever saw. And like I said, I would see people at the first glance, boom, and I would know it's like so and so, and then they would go to the person that they were impersonating because they would start using hypnotics and other things. And like I said, I would mark them so and so one, so and so two, so and so three, and then if it got too extreme by colors, you know, red, blue, green, purple. So people have been breaking in my house and stealing my daughter's stuff. My aunt, the piece of shit aunt who was part of the plot to kill me when I was in the Army as a construction equipment operator. She's the one that's been stealing shit from my house. And my dad comes here and steals shit or drops shit off. And they're all scumbags. Everybody in my family's a scumbag except for my kids. I mean, every motherfucker. Everyone. Nieces, nephews, brother, cousins, uncles, aunts, everyone. Parents, they're all fucking pieces of shit. And they all know what happened, and they all just pretend like nothing's going wrong or nothing happened. You know, and like today, I get flashbacks or things that happened from before. And when they're not good things, it makes you really angry. And I remember snapping at my idiot uncle that has the Pringles mustache. I remember snapping at him and, you know, telling him, because he is like the head of the snake with my aunt, his wife, And I remember telling him, you know, he got arrested one time and or handcuffed, and I fucking told him, you know, I said, you should be fortunate that I am not the man that I used to be 10 years ago. You know, I told him, you know, and you are fortunate that when my daughter was born, the one I watched get born, you are lucky. I promised her I would stop being a prick and I would stop knocking people out and just being a little violent fucker, you know. And like I said, that was part of my reason of going under it is that, but that's all like nurture or whatever you call it, nature, nurture. That's the way my dad raised me to be. There was no talking. You know, my dad would say talking's for faggots. Talking, hugging, all that shit's for faggots. And, you know, he would say, you know, people say something to you, beat their fucking ass and let them understand. If you don't talk to me like you're talking to a professional, then don't talk to me. So that caused a lot of problems in my life from kindergarten up, and even in my disastrous military career. You know, I didn't understand the game. Nobody shared the game with me until it was too late. And then one kid shared the game with me, and I'm so grateful for it. But then he ended up being a backstabber too. And you know, he told me he told me in a direct way. He goes, you know, the way that you're acting, that's how people die on the job. That's how people go missing. That's how people get grenades thrown in their tents. You know, he goes, because you might knock us out, but then you're going to have, you know, a platoon or two platoons of guys beating the fucking shit out of you. And you're not going to do shit to 15 dudes. You're just not. You're just not. And I know that from experience. And like that bullshit from the Fast and the Furious movies and all that other action bullshit. You're not fucking catching the one with 15 people, especially 15 soldiers or more that are trained to kill. You're not just going to catch the one with 15 and beat the fuck out of all 15. You may catch 4 or 5 at the most, but then they're going to fucking grab you. They're going to fuck you up. And, you know, like I said, I got into altercations, and then he just came up to me and told me, he goes, you know, it's not going to be put up with much longer of you breaking people's jaws and breaking their legs and crushing their orbital bones and head kicking them. And, you know, we're not going to put up with that bullshit. And he said, if you have problems, you know, you're supposed to talk to your team leader about it or your squad mates and then figure out a solution. Or if they're talking shit and saying shit to you, talk shit back. If they say they fucked your mom and your sister and your aunt, you know, tell them, cool, I fucked your grandma. You know, just, he said that very basically like that. Give him it back, you know. And he was this real cherubic, I think that's the term, dude from Minnesota. You know, he sounded like from Minnesota. And I was grateful for all of his advice, but then he became a turncoat and fuck him. He told me right before the my time in the army was over, that he was going to tell I think she would have been my just ex-wife, but she still loved me, and I loved her very much, and that's the cardiologist. She, he said, I'm going to tell her all about your bullshit, and how I had to talk you down from fucking fist fighting people. And I said, I don't give a shit. Fuck you. You want to be a scumbag? Go be a scumbag. Go pat yourself on the back, dickhead. Because when I fucking tell her about you, motherfucker, then fuck you. You know, because he, um, his wife eventually left him. The guy from Minnesota, his wife left him eventually. I heard, because he, you know, he got caught fucking around with another dude, and he I found out he was a turncoat, and then I found out he talked to my then wife, and I just went and told his wife. I said, hey, blah blah blah, and I showed her the picture. And I know it's a fuckhead thing to do, but I did like you said. I fought fire with fire. He wants to talk shit and make shit up and try to sleep with my then wife. I'm going to tell his wife the truth. And I used to be good at computer hacking. So I thought to myself, I said, you know what? You know what I'm going to do? I am going to, now this is supposedly, okay? Because I don't want to get myself in any trouble. If I would have done it, I would have done it this way. That's if I did it. I would have hacked their mainframe and their computers and got access to all their pictures, or while maybe I had my day off, maybe I would have, if I did it, which I didn't, maybe I would have broken to the barracks rooms and hacked their stuff and took their pictures out. That's if I did it, but I didn't do it. So if I was going to do something like that, that's how I would have done it. I would have got some access through, you know, hacking and coding through the system. Sorry for yawning. I just can't sleep. And I would have got their pictures of the people that were fucking with me and their emails. And that's how I caught a dude who was trying to pay off a family because he raped their daughter. There was a guy that I was in the army with, and everyone loved the motherfucker. He was a scumbag, but everyone loved him. Loved him. He on leave took advantage of my wife, got her like blackout drunk, and then fucked her. Not my hot wife, you know, the cardiologist or the hot Italian one. It was the Detroit River or the Flint River Toxic Avenger. He fucked her, which whatever, and I hacked his shit because he was playing fucking games and shooting at me with stingers. And like I said in the previous episode, stingers are like bullets or ammunition that aren't completely filled with powder. They're like a quarter of the powder or an eighth of the fucking powder in it, but it still fucking hurts bad. So he was shooting me with that during my time in the army just to be a fucking cocksucker, and it was causing me head trauma and head injuries. So I decided that I had enough, and if I did do something, I would have hacked his computer too, And that's how maybe I found out that he raped a little girl on his first deployment to Iraq when he was whatever it is, 18 or 19. Because I found the email, and the mom that wanted justice for her daughter was telling him, "You need to send me this amount of money every month, or I'm going to the fucking police." So I got that email with everything, and or I found it, I should say, laying somewhere, and I gave it to the Army. They did nothing. I sent it to Army HQ. They did nothing. I sent it to the powers that be. They did nothing. And it was really disgusting, you know. He was in Iraq as a PFC or something like that, and he found this little girl playing, and he brutally raped her. And she must have been, maybe 8 years old, 10 years old, and the Army did nothing. He still never served a day in prison for it. So after I saw shit like that happen, or found out stuff like that happened and there was no justice, it really gave me a disdain and disgust for serving. Now, I don't take that as the way it sounds. It just was like, ew, like yuck. I wonder, if he's not caught, what else have some of these motherfuckers done? And I love this country, and I use that quote from whatever it is, Jason Bourne or whatever movie that is, where, the guy says, I'd bleed on that flag to keep it red. I love this country. I love the USA. I would never betray it, never do nothing to destroy it. And, I got disgusted with being in the military with perverts like that, because there was a couple other rapists too that were in the military that I served with, and those women never got justice either. And those guys, thought it was cool, or another brick in the wall. But I mean, if you've ever been through sexual assault, that ain't no fucking joke, and it is traumatizing. And I can say that from going through it. And whatever, if you want to make fun of me or chuckle and laugh, well, whatever. I hope it never happens to you. Where a lot of people, and maybe the younger me, would have wanted it to happen to you, so you know what it feels like. But I would never want that to happen to anybody or their kids or to anybody that they love. That is one of the worst things you can do to somebody. And for it to go unpunished is really gross. So, like I was saying today, I had some of these flashbacks from my K-hole of, like I said in the previous episodes, coming out of the void, and echoes of the void. And that's what it's like. It's like echoes, where you get new ones once in a while, and then you get some of the same ones, and you have to work your way through it, because for me, I didn't have positive reinforcement. I had people who were setting me up. They were fucking with me. They were trying to kill me. They were trying to put me in prison. They were trying to make me look like a criminal. They were trying to say that I didn't serve in the military when I did serve in the military because, like I said, my identity got stolen. And there was a time where I never went to the fucking doctor. So my identity got stolen, and somebody was going to the VA and pretending they were me. There were several people. And the VA in Milwaukee fucking let it go on. So that is another reason why I hate that place. So, when I finally went back, nobody really remembered me. And then I was up shit creek, you know. They had all these other imbeciles coming in pretending to be me. And those guys were all in a fight. The guys who stole my identity, there was like 6 of them or more. Probably 6 to a dozen, if not more. And I'm not even fucking kidding you. From 6 to maybe almost 18, maybe even more. I think I could confidently say a dozen, but I think it was probably more like 18. There was a bunch. There were so fucking many that they were arresting people and beating the shit out of people because there were so many people trying to steal my identity, or that did, and went to the VA to get service connections and to get money and to get hospital care. So when I finally went there, I was part of the Dirty Dozen. And so that's where the nightmare began again, you know? And like I said, in the one episode, I have been in horrific fistfights at that VA hospital, inside doctors' offices, inside the hospital itself, inside the waiting room, inside the bathroom, everywhere in that hospital. Everywhere. The library, the reading room in the library, everywhere. The fucking cafeteria, outside, in the pond outside, the graveyards. I had a nurse try to kill me there in the graveyard. When I got into a fight, I beat a guy's ass. And then they attacked me from behind, and they gave me fentanyl poisoning. And they were trying to rape my wife. And my wife was, one of them was a real hard bitch. And she didn't put up with that bullshit, you know. I remember being in the hospital, and the nurse told me, "You're going to shut the fuck up, and you're going to let these guys use your health care, or we're going to put you in a coma, and you don't know if you're ever going to wake up." So I went, okay, enough, until I could escape out of the fucking hospital, you know. And then while I was in the hospital, I got beat up a few times because I was, you know, locked to the fucking bed. And then when I was at the domiciliary, the same thing happened. They drugged me, they chained me to a bed, and then people were taking advantage of me, sexually assaulting, beating me up, trying to rape my wife. And that's when they killed my one daughter and buried her alive in the VA grounds. I don't know whatever happened to her, but I know that they killed her because everyone was making a joke about it. And those guys have never been prosecuted or went to jail. And I have to try to check with a lawyer to see if I can really say these people's names, because I'm not scared of lawsuits. You know, I don't want to have to give people monikers. And, you know, the 2 douchebags, I'll just say their real first names. One's name was Kevin, and he was at a field artillery thing at the 82nd Airborne. The other one's name was Eugene. Another one was Tom. Another one was Jesse. And they are the ones who are responsible for the death of my daughter. And they killed her, buried her alive and killed her. And obviously my wife at the time was fucking irate, and she never forgave me for that, which I don't know how it was my fucking fault. I tried. I did everything I could to find her. I did everything I could to get justice and to do the right thing to get people arrested and to figure things out. But the fucking police and the VA cops didn't do shit. Nothing. And then they kept on trying to extort my wife by saying, let us fuck you and we'll give you back your kid. And they raped my wife one time and they never gave her back the baby. Or I think they gave her back the baby and she was dead. So, those pieces of shit have never been thrown in prison. Another one's name was Paul. Another one's name was, I can't remember that worthless piece of shit. There's a bunch of worthless pieces of shit. Another one's name was Terry, but his real name is Mike. There was a bunch, and I saw the one scumbag, Terry, we'll call him, or Mike. He works at a car dealership here in Milwaukee, and he took part in the abuse too, and he killed a couple of my kids along with his boyfriend, Bildo, who he works with at the car dealership. And they have never been prosecuted or anything about it. And that's where I have to try to keep my cool. They stole my car one time. I don't know what happened to me. I think they knocked me out and drugged me and buried me alive or something. And then they were abusing my daughter and they stole my car. And another one of my kids died. And along with my family members, that idiot Gu Yu, who was in the Navy and in the Marine Corps, Gu Yu was one of the heads of the snake too, along with the Pringles mustache and his bitch wife. So a lot of my disdain comes from that. And, I miss my kids, you know? And it hurts so bad knowing that they're gone and that they died at such a young age and that I will never get a prom with them. I will never get their high school graduation. I never even got their elementary school graduation. No middle school graduation, no college graduation, not getting to be a grandfather, not getting to watch them go through college and get married, never walking them down the aisle. I lost all of that. And I will never get it back. Like I said, I have the one kid I see, and people have even said that it's supposedly my ex-wife because I've been so traumatized from the death of my kids that I don't see I don't see anything else but my kid when certain times or at certain places. Like I had flashbacks of when she was in 8th grade, and I don't know where she was, but I know that it was her piece of shit ghetto friend who claimed to be a gangster disciple, where she was at my house sometimes, and I dropped her off at the school, and then I remember it being that piece of shit friend. And then I just told my kid one day, I said, if you are this girl who took part in murdering my kid, do not come over to my fucking house anymore. If you are her, don't ever come over again. Because I don't want you around. You're not going to help me. And I fucking hate you. And that's that mulatto friend of hers, supposedly, that I call Skeletor or Calaco. So she was pretending to be my daughter. And I remember dropping, like I said, flashbacks will come. And then now I remember like being in the car, and now instead of it being Joyce, it was Kalako. And so it freaked me out. And I just told my kid. And I remember a TikTok my kid was doing. And I saw my ex-wife was bitching about her TikTok. And then I confronted my kid about it. And I said, I saw this one that was supposedly you. And I remember yelling at you about it. Now, I said, if this is your fucking friend, or if you are your friend, get the fuck out, and I don't want you here. And I know it sounds mean, but I don't want Kalako here. I want my kid. And if all my kids are gone, then leave me the fuck alone. But if it's not, keep coming over. You know, because I love my kid. And I haven't had any flashbacks or memories recently of the one I'm dealing with now of any resemblance of it being Kalako or her fat sister. Sorry about the drink. I love my kid, and I'm glad it's her, but I don't want her friend over. And I told her, there's no more hanging out with that girl. If you're hanging out with her, there's no more. She's a piece of shit, and she's a piece of trash, and she'll always be a fucking piece of trash. So do not bring her over anymore. Do not talk to her. And I just left it at that. You know, so comedy's over now because I remember my bitch aunt that I hate. What can we call that dummy? Pringles can husband, and we'll call her the fire hydrant. So the fire hydrant has her little gay nephew that does comedy at the comedy place, and he is one of them who took part in killing my kid and stole my kid's stuff and took part in destroying my life to the point where I had to go in the hospital because he was impersonating me and committing crimes, and he never went to prison. I hope he does go to prison. And I know that if he ever confronts me about things or says something about certain things, I am going to let him know what a piece of shit he is. Today I had a bunch of flashbacks like yesterday and the day before. And that happens from when you're in a K-hole. And that's why I fucking hate ketamine. And the other thing, too, is now I have to go over everything in my house again. And now I have to go over everything that I'm taking. Because I'm starting, when you take ketamine and you go without it, you'll get what they call the ketamine zaps. And you'll ask me, what are the ketamine zaps? So you'll stand there and all of a sudden it'll be like you get a chill up your spine and you'll just shake. And that's from your body, what I was told anyways. That's from the reaction of the ketamine coming back into your blood and it not being, what do you call it? Not being regular in your blood. So when it's indirectly going in your blood every once in a while, and you're not completing the ketamine cycle, you'll get the ketamine zaps, and it'll look like you're getting the chills or you're getting the shakes, but it's just like a zap, and you'll just shake for a second. It'll be like, nah, and sorry about the noise, but or the sound effect for it, but that's what I was told by a professional. So I know every time I get the zaps that there's somehow, some way, motherfucker ketamine getting in my blood. And I hate it. Fucking hate it. and I fucking hate it. I fucking hate ketamine. And I wish I would have never did it. That's my um, problem with it. Is it caused me so much problems. It caused me so much stress. It caused me so much trauma, and I lost so much. And I don't care about the intrinsic things. I don't care about the valuables, the cards, sports cards, memorabilia, the guns, money, the jewelry. You know, I don't give a fuck about that shit. I don't. I could give a shit less. Even if they stole my healthcare, I don't give a fuck. The only thing I cared about was my kids, and my kids' belongings, and, having some sort of keepsakes of when they were little. But people have came and stole those. They came in my house. They went so far as to come in my house and steal all my daughter's photos. So I only have photos of my daughter from pre-K to um pre-K to fourth grade. Um, and that was another thing where I have a photo of my daughter before she got murdered in front of me, and I don't know if it was areola or if it was the Toxic River Trash or CC, um, or if it was Katie or Candy. Um, I know that there was some confusion about the paternity of my child, and there was another guy who was maybe her dad. So I told my ex-wife, I'm leaving for a while. Um, I don't want you guys to go through things because people stole my identity, and now I have to fight for my identity. So I'm going to leave, and I just want you guys to be safe. So the day I was leaving, her supposed other dad, who we were doing a paternity test, was coming to see her, and she had a pin that was his. He sent her one in the mail, and so my ex-wife put the pin on her, and the one piece of shit who shot my daughter at the restaurant shot my daughter again in front of me and my wife. Uh, and I was telling my daughter goodbye, and she was like, okay. And I was just telling her, I want to be your dad, and I think I'm your dad, but I also might not be. And she understood, and I said, I want to say bye, and I love you, and I would still like to be your daddy if you want. And she said, yeah, I really love you. Um, and she had that pin from the other guy, and the lady thought that it was my pin, the piece of shit who never went to prison. And she goes, oh, look at, he put that pin. I said, I didn't put that pin on her. I said, it could be her other dad's. And that's what we're talking to her about. And the lady said, oops, too bad. And then shot her in the head. And I remember I ran after the bitch, and then she shot me too. And I remember my ex-wife holding her and sobbing and blaming me, of course. And I think the guy, her other dad, was coming out of his car, walking up to her. And that other lady, either it was I'm trying to think of her, what I can call her. We'll call her K, and then we'll call her idiot sister K2, and then we'll call the other one Bluebells. So K shot my daughter and killed her, and I went after her, like I said, and she shot me, and the guy who was supposed to be my daughter, the one we were having the paternity with, ran and, drew down on her and told her to drop the gun. And she's like, I'm working for Grand Branch, and he wasn't in the military. And I said, yes, I was. I went to Fort Leonard Wood, you fucking retard. I told her that. Right before I got released from the hospital, because she came to the hospital and she wasn't arrested. And my ex-wife came and visited me along with the dude, and they just said, basically, fuck you. And I said, fuck me. I said, that was your pen, asshole. It wasn't mine, motherfucker. So fuck you. You know how much trauma I have from seeing that? And then that fucking bitch shooting her and not going to jail? Are you fucking kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me? And then she shot my one daughter at a restaurant in Brookfield and killed her. I have the goddamn photo. It's on my old Instagram account. Right at the moment the bullet hit her head, boom, I took the photo. Didn't even see it. I was too busy celebrating her birthday. As soon as I took the photo, the bullet hit her head and she was fucking dead. As soon as I pressed the fucking button, she was dead, and you can see it right in the photo. Nothing happened with that bitch too. I told the fucking cops who it was. The cops did nothing. And I am disgusted by that, because they got away with all these murders, these people. But if I did something, I'm going to jail for life. So there's a lot of unresolved anger that I have, but I have been trying to figure ways to manage it by walking, podcasting, because I was working out for a while and then I got injured. I hurt my knee. And then, like I said, I was ending this K-hole and I was having flashbacks, and it took a while to get through because I had to process everything. Every single thing. And when you're still on it and you're still on these hypnotics and you're trying to process things, for me, I had to process it like, I don't want to say by the second, but I had to process it slowly by each kind of piece, and then go over it and go over it and go, okay, so that's what really happened. Because then they tried to fuck with me to make me forget it. And I said, I don't want to forget that kind of loss, because I want to avenge them. And I know that the only way I'll be able to do it is telling my story. And hopefully someone who cares, or the justice system, or hopefully the president, or somebody with that can help serve justice to these scumbags. Because too many lives were taken, and there wasn't any sort of repercussion for the murderers. And I know who all the fucking murderers were, because while I was ending my K-hole, and towards the end when I got back from Michigan and supposedly California, that's all I focused on, was the death of my kids. And I didn't talk to the VA about it, because it's like they get aroused by it, and they get aroused by bad things that happen to me. They love it. And then my psychologist is actually like an FBI profiler. So I am done with her effectively tomorrow. I'm ending our relationship, or not relationship, whatever you call it, healthcare relationship. I don't need somebody taking it out of fucking context like they've done before. And, the fact that they allowed me to took advantage of the VA, and they allowed people at the VA to abuse me there and bring illegal psychedelics and illegal substances, unlicensed, and give them to me is a fucking crime. It's a fucking crime, you know? And I remember a guy that he did a few shady things, and him and I converse every once in a while, and he did a few reminders of how my kids died, and I didn't appreciate that, and I wanted to beat the fuck out of him. And he's lucky that I don't, because he's 90 years old, figuratively. And we'll call him Uncle Sonny's brother. So Uncle Sonny's fake brother gave me some reminders of my kid dying and how she died. One of them died. And it really fucking set me off. And I wanted to stomp him. I was going to follow him somewhere and stomp him. But then, you know, that wouldn't be justice for my kid just because he wants to be a fuckhead. And that's what I mean. Them antagonizing me there, you know, to get me to react because I saw inside of the honeycomb. And he stuck up for me a few times. And I remember when he stuck up for me, he took some of my medication. And it was supposed to be Adderall. And I remember he came back the next day and he was screaming. He's like, this ain't fucking Adderall. The kid dropped one on the ground. I was like, why not? Because I was jonesing. I took it. And he said it was psychedelic. It was, he said, one of the worst feelings in the world that he's ever had. And he said everything that he's ever talked about, I felt that day. The impending doom, the fear, being scared of everything. And he said, I don't know how this kid is functioning or even walking down the street, because he said, I was scared of hearing the wind blow in through my window. He said it was scaring me that bad. And he said the nightmares and the visuals. And he told them, he goes, you guys aren't giving him the right medication. You guys are fucking dosing him illegally. And you guys are scumbags. And he said, this fucking place does need to get reset. And, you know, a few people agreed with him. And then I snapped. And then I reminded everybody there. I said, you know, we all joined the military. And we all served our country. And some served more. Yeah, cool. I'm proud of you. But we all served the same country. And we're all supposed to be together in this journey of getting out. And, you know, a big thing in the military is honesty and integrity and loyalty. And I remember telling them that. I said, you know, some of you are in the Navy or in the Army or in the Marine Corps, so on and so forth. And integrity and honesty is right at the top of the list. And for you guys to keep letting this travesty happen, because some of these people murdered my kids and they don't want to go to prison for it, makes me sick to my stomach that you guys just sit here and let this abuse go on. Because what if I was your son or your nephew or your brother or your dad or your kid and this was going on? How would you feel? And I told them, look at how many innocent lives have been ended. My kids' lives have been fucking ended because people stole my identity. And then they had me in the K-hole. And they fucking knew I was in the military. I gave them every ounce of information: birth certificate, DD-214, discharge, the big discharge you get on the fucking wall, the 215 or whatever it's called. I gave them my Army Achievement Medal certificate. I gave them every fucking thing I had, and they knew who I was. But yet they let other motherfuckers go under my name and claim benefits and claim money and claim health care. And nobody had any integrity until, uh, Uncle Sonny's fake brother kind of said something. But even he, is a backstabber a bit. And I talk to him occasionally, but it's real professional, and I keep him at a distance because of, him reminding me of how my daughter got murdered. And I get memories of things, and I remember them saying shit like, "Oh, boo-hoo." Well, it ain't boo-hoo, motherfucker. It ain't boo-hoo when it happens to you, you know? Um, and then eventually I had enough, and then I started fighting back, and I started beating the shit out of people. And that didn't work out the best way. I ended up on the bad side of it a few times, and I knew that I had to play it a different way. So I rethought everything, and I thought, well, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to collect evidence, and I don't want to say intelligence. I want to collect evidence and collect whatever I can to prove these scumbags are doing what they're doing. And they eventually caught my cousin at the hospital. They eventually caught Guyu, my cousin. They eventually caught my idiot half-brother or half-cousin. They caught that doucher. They caught the Flint River trash. They caught my aunt there abusing me, and it kind of stopped. Now, the weirdness hasn't stopped, so I'm choosing never to go there anymore, and that may be like a win to them, but eventually they're all going to lose their fucking jobs, I hope. And that's not just, saying bad juju or whatever. That's, I hope and fucking pray you lose your fucking jobs. And I hope you're homeless, and I hope you lose everything like I did, and I hope you sit in fucking prison for the rest of your life. Now, like I said, these flashbacks or these memories come and go, and I have been trying to deal with them because some of them are very intense, and I have to sort through them. And I wish I could find my baby's mothers who my kids passed away with, and I could get the murder reports and autopsy reports and tell the police what really happened. I can't find that yet. I try to look online for it. I can't. Supposedly, my one daughter's still missing. Like I said, my aunt came here. One of the ones that tried to kill me. We'll call her Jules, like Jules, like a jewel. And so Aunt Jules came, and she's the one who brought these weirdo phones, and I saw a photo of what I thought was a missing person's photo of my daughter with her eyebrows shaved. And the last time that I saw my daughter with double eyebrows shaved, she went over to her friend, and I got to figure out tomorrow so I can actually say names. She went over to her friends in Bayview where the girl's stepdad is a guy who I went to high school with. He got a nose job because I fucking crushed his nose bad, and I mean bad. I smashed it bad. And he is responsible for the murder of one of my daughters. And the last time I saw her was her going over to that friend's house because the mom came and picked her up, and I remember her looking at me and waving and getting in the truck. So tomorrow, or today I should say, when a law office opens, or I don't know if I gotta call the FCC or whatever else to figure out what names I can say. I will eventually say their names, because these scumbags need to go to prison. And I saw my daughter's friend, her scumbag dad or stepdad, and I fantasized about stomping him, but I know that doing it would only cause more problems, and it would cause my daughter to hate me, and I can't just go up to her with no evidence and say, this guy killed my daughter or your sister without the proof, because I don't want her going to that fucking house. I don't want her going to that motherfucker, and I can't go to this current fake Italian idiot that I was married to. That fucking Dumbo. I'll call her Dumbo. I can't go to Dumbo and say, this happened because she's a goddamn troublemaker. Like I said, I have this court date for this disorderly conduct, and she's been interfering with it. Like she knew all about the plea agreement. They asked me of what and what and what, and I found it kind of creepy. And I told her to get a life, focus on her new baby she had, her new white baby she had. And there ain't nothing wrong with white people. I'm not, I don't have any problem with them. And I was lied to so much in my life by my family about my ethnicity. I don't know. I know I'm a lot white or Caucasian, but I don't know what the other part is. It was supposedly Cuban or some sort of Hispanic thing, but even I don't even believe that bullshit. Because I don't look like anybody in my family. Nobody at all. I look the opposite of everybody. I look really Caucasian. So, this issue about ketamine and how dangerous it is. I'm not saying that people shouldn't use it if they need to. I'm just saying be really careful and make sure that when you do it by a real licensed professional and that you have a complete plan. And don't ever get a goddamn ketamine block, because you get a ketamine block and then they give it to you intravenously or through pills and you are fucked. I just hope that my Vyvanse isn't tricked and that it's ketamine, because I've been getting the zaps and I got to figure out how I'm getting the zaps, because ketamine zaps are not fucking cool. So that's another thing of ketamine that I didn't like and don't like. I don't like the flashbacks. I don't like how the memories are distorted and then they come back, sometimes all at once. And when you're in a K-hole, like I said, and you're with real unprofessional scumbags, even if you're in the K-hole, they can give you like messages that you'll receive over a certain period of time. And as stupid and as weird as it sounds, it's the goddamn truth. You'll get a message by, seeing somebody, hearing a song, something else, and then all of a sudden that message from that person will come in, boom, and it's like you were in that moment with them. And I just now say, suck my dick or fuck you, and I just forget about it. Like I said, my scumbag uncle, the Pringles mustache, in the Red Rocket, they gave me messages, through things, or they gave me like, if you see this or see this, you see this, you see this. So I saw this fucking dumb bitch, this hippo that I used to date at the place I was doing comedy. And I remember my uncle, former uncle, with the Pringles mustache telling me that once I see her, um, people are supposed to be starting to come after me again. And I saw her, and then I remembered that memory, and I was like, okay, well, now I have to fucking start preparing to really start defending myself. So now that I'm out of it, and I feel good, and I feel healthy, and I'm not stumbling and whatever else, and that's what happened to during my ketamine experiences from the abuse and bad things happening. I had injuries and they never got fixed. So I was falling all the time and I was sick all the time. And, I had a perforated, supposedly had a perforated intestine, but they fixed that. And then my eardrum was popped in both ears, and my orbital bone was fractured. So the other issue is that if I did have that, I don't have any scars on my body. I don't have a colostomy bag scar. I don't have any surgery scars. The other issue was that retard Nico, who also stole my identity, was impersonating me and killed my daughter, killed a couple of them, and was responsible for their deaths. He is all fucked up. He's all full of cuts and scars and bullet wounds and colostomy bag, but I am not. So they were mixing me up with him for a long time, and then I fucking finally had enough. And we were the last two idiots left, and I still see the cocksucker around, but I have to try not to smash him when I see him, and that's part of my issue with dealing with things, is that he is so responsible for some of the death and destruction in my life because he thought I slept with his mom, but I didn't. I slept with his mom's friend, and he's the one who raped his own mom. Nico did. So Nico raped his mom, tried to blame it on me. It wasn't me, it was him. It was proven it was him. I slept with his mom's friend, so he tried to make me look like a bad guy, but he was the real creep, and he has a bunch of rapes under his belt and a bunch of murders, and he's never been prosecuted for it. So seeing him and then seeing the VA welcome him so warmly is disgusting, He tried to say that he was the one that served during my time, but I was like, hey, retard, you were born in 1996, dummy. So you would have been 7 years old going through basic training, retard? Right? Right? Correct? So shut the fuck up. But they somehow like him, but I think it's because he's related to a few people in the VA there, at Building 43, and his mom's a whore, and she fucked probably a lot of people there too. And so, and she's rich, like really rich, obscenely rich. Oh, I can't wait to dime her out, and for how much money that fucking loser has. And people were confusing me with that scumbag, and that was hard to take because he's, like I said, responsible for a bunch of shit that happened. And like today, I was having some memory lapses and flashbacks, and it wasn't good, And I know that, either I got to find a new place to do stand up, but I'm done at that place near where I live, and I made some acquaintances there, but I am done, because the Milwaukee comedy scene, it's a lot of selective politicking, and it's real cliquey, you know, real cliquey, and there's a lot of selective politics, and I just, not that I'm not funny, I'm not the best comedian, I'm not a good comedian at all. I just did it to help my communication and to help me with the shyness. I am gonna miss it, but I don't want to go back there, especially after my scumbag uncle gave me that message that when I see that fucking hippo, that people are gonna start coming after me, and I don't need to get shot at or have to fucking fuck anybody up because it's only gonna set me back. And my focus now is to build this podcast and to get justice for my kids and my ex-wives or ex-girlfriends, and go from there. I can't sleep, and so I decided to record another one. I found my first one, thank gosh, and I put that one up. That one's 3 hours, so don't mind how long and dull that one is. This one is the third one, and I just got to figure a way to keep promoting it. I got to figure a way to put it on YouTube, and tomorrow I'll set up a YouTube page, and I'm gonna have other podcasts too. I was gonna have like a comedy one, but now, I think I'm pretty much done with it because it's just, like I said, I got that memory and message like from being in the K-hole from my uncle about like when I see the hippo that people are gonna start attacking me there, so I don't need to be in a gunfight at the comedy club. So maybe I'll just try comedy somewhere else, or maybe I'll just talk about it. But I know I'll have another podcast for other things. I just have to kind of sort it out. I just hope the growth of this one and people listening to this helps other people and people going through what I went through. And I hope that my kids and my exes get justice. And I eventually would like to interview people, real professionals, real ketamine professionals, and interview or talk to other people who've been through traumatic losses, and have discussions with them, to help support them too, or help them get through their problems. And I have to figure out the law about saying people's names, because there's a bunch of people I have to oust, getting doxxed, all that kind of stuff. And I think it's only right that if, like that kid told me in the army, fight fire with fire. You want to talk shit, you want to do this, you want to do that. Well, now that I'm out of the hole and out of the void, I'm going to say whatever the fuck I want. and I want it for my kids that are left, so they know that their dad isn't a piece of shit and that he tried, and tell them the truth about what really happened in my life, because they're being lied to. And especially with Dumbo that I'm dealing with now. She's one of the worst people I've ever met in my life. There's a lot, there's a lot that are tied at number one, and she's one of them, including the Flint River Toxic Avenger. And like, it made me happy with that memory of having Uncle Sonny's fake brother stand up for me, and him, and there's a African American lady who's in the group that I go to, and she, agreed with it too. She was part of the K-hole problem, running her fucking mouth too. So I hold her responsible for running her fucking mouth. And, but I'm happy that they agreed that the VA needed to be reset. And they keep on sticking up for that Nico piece of shit. And, whatever. Keep sticking up for that fucking murdering, rapist, pervert. He's done some really terrible things, awful things. But I mean, top of the taco, awful things. Rape, sexual assault, murder. I could go on further, but they always comfort him. And it's not that I want them to comfort me. I don't. I want that little dirty motherfucker to sit in prison for the rest of his motherfucking life. The old me would have wanted him to eat out of a straw or a stomach tube for the rest of his life. But he got his cosmic karma for stealing my identity and pretending to be in the military, because he never was. And the fact that the VA still lets that little prick come there when he was never in the military makes me sick to my stomach. And that the people in that group still support him, it's gross. It's really gross. And like I said, these memories come and go and come and go and come and go. And, I try not to think too much about it, because I know that most of my relationships were toxic, other than with the real hot Italian one who posed in magazines. He's a bad bitch. As the kids would say nowadays, she's a baddie. So is the cardiologist. And now I got to think about the other one that I had a good relationship with. The cardiologist, the smoking hot Italian one, and then who's the other dime? God, I got to figure out a way to give her a moniker, because I don't want to give her one and then her people come after me. Blondie, that was it. Blondie, we were all right. And I had memories of this Mexican girl I used to date in high school that, the kids in high school tried to destroy my relationship with her. And I think I dated her when I first started in the Army. And, I really loved her too. And I owe her a apology too, because I wasn't the best boyfriend or husband, but God, I really love that woman. She's hot as fuck. I just saw her today on a dating app. I see her and I just swipe left. If I ever get a oops, you missed the match, then maybe I'll rematch next time, but I just swipe left. I don't want to swipe right, because she's part of a organization too that they don't take prisoners. There's no, oops, I'm sorry. It's, you fucked up. You don't exist no more. You know, um, God, she was a good woman too. Um, but I'm trying to go through that to really remember if it was just we dated or if we were really together. Um, that's the confusing part about um, losing your memory and head injuries and fist fights and K-holes and them using MK Ultra things on you, which my aunt who tried to murder me in Alaska, the one that went to prison for 15 years, and forged evidence. She was part of that when she was a young girl and when first was in the military. She participated in that type of psychological ops and training. And so she was like a master at it. And so she was part of it. And, I hate her fucking guts. She tried to set me up. Like I said, she knew the Red Rocket, I think, from the military. And I hate them both. When I was in my K-hole, she tried to, set me up again, and it didn't work. She tried to collect evidence when I was in the hospital. She came and pretended to be a nurse or an interviewer, and she cut off hair on me and tried to take swabs from me. And I reported her, and she wants her get back because of her going to prison. But you know what, bitch? I wasn't the one that was selling crystal meth as a lieutenant colonel. I wasn't the one who was selling little girls as a lieutenant colonel. I wasn't the one that was working with foreign militaries to transport drugs and kids, and you got caught, you bitch, and you rolled on a bunch of people because you had life in prison and possibly an execution coming towards you from what I remember seeing. But you rolled, and you got 15 fucking years, 15 to 18, you fucking bum. You're a fucking bum. And you should be ashamed of yourself. And just like I told those people in that group that day, you wear that American flag on your shoulder. It's almost a goddamn shame that you let this travesty and this bullshit go on. And whether they keep supporting Nico, I don't give a fuck. It's already been proven I've been innocent of all the accusations and that I was really in the military. He wasn't. But his mommy and daddy are rich, so they keep giving him money. And he keeps coming there because one of his cousins works there. So, I have to just not beat the shit out of him when I see him. And, the thing is, when you're working on yourself, you have to kind of make amends and apologies. And that is where I kind of am at with my, not with everything, but with my, some certain things, like with some substance abuse and trauma. That's another thing they did when I was in the keyhole is I never liked drugs and alcohol. I didn't. I fucking hated it, despised it, never liked it. And, they got it to where they were getting me to party. And, even I heard that certain countries and hospitals and certain places have banned hypnotization, and ketamine and certain psychedelics, because of what happened to me. I was supposedly aired out to the public, and then once, the public resolved itself or found out I was innocent, because they were trying to humiliate me, and Nico's parents were, because his mom is kind of really famous, and I don't want to tattle tits on her yet, but I'm going to. It ain't even tattle tits, and it's just telling the truth because she tried to kill me too, and she went to prison too for a long fucking time. And she is a scumbag. So when I talk about I don't have any sort of feeling about these people getting what they deserve, I don't. It doesn't bother me to hope they sit in prison. You know, at the end of my K-hole, I gotta try to word it right. I had the end come, and they were trying to play fuck games, but I was onto it, and you know, I freaked them out a few times. And the suggestion I give people is if somebody's fucking with you, or you know, doing something, and it worked for me a few times. It doesn't work all the time, so don't think it does. So if somebody's, you know, being a dick or a weirdo, you know, I would go, "Oh my God, there's a spider! There's a spider in your hair. There's a spider on your arm." And sometimes I would buy those little black spiders that you get like at the party stores or Halloween, out of the Halloween, you know, during Halloween, those little tiny plastic ones. And then I would like put them by their feet when they weren't looking, like using, you know, um, their reluctance of not using their peripheral vision or whatever else. And I'd be like, "Oh, there's a spider on you." Uh, and it works sometimes. It didn't work all the time. It didn't even work sometimes when I had the little plastic fuckers with me. But it did work on occasion, you know. And it was funny to see them freak out, and then so I could get away, or I could scream or yell. And I'll try to record another podcast tomorrow. And I read this thing today, and I'm not really lonely. I'm not lonely at all, actually. I mean, a little bit because I miss my kid because she's at her mom sometimes, and I miss my kids that have passed away. And I read this article where they did this study on loneliness, and it said that loneliness is the equivalent now. They did a study where it has more of a negative effect than smoking 15 cigarettes a day. It's worse than smoking 15 cigarettes a day and more dangerous, it said. So I saw that, and that was part of my reason to do stand up. And I'll just have to find something else because I used to go and work out, and I used to go to a Brazilian Jiu Jitsu club and MMA club, but then the Toxic River Avenger and uh, my one baby mama pretty much ruined those relationships because they went through and sorry for yawning, they went through and fucked everybody pretty much on every MMA team and um, Brazilian Jiu Jitsu school here in Milwaukee County. So I'm like shit out of luck, you know. So everything I do, I got to do myself. And which is fine, you know. So I can't do that. So I got to figure something to supplement the comedy or find a new place to do comedy. You know, there's an improv around, and then there's a few other places, but some of the other clubs are in some dodgy fucking places, and I'm just not up for that kind of stuff because it is something I don't need. Like I said, I don't need to be in a gunfight, you know, at a bar or at a comedy club. Uh, because it's in a bad neighborhood or people think I'm a mark. and I used to say, I forgot the quote I used to use on my Twitter. If you don't understand you're the mark, then you're it. And people thought I was. But little did they know, I used to bring my little micro cameras and Bluetooth headphones. It's amazing what you can do with technology today. And I used to, have glasses with cameras in them and micro cameras, and I used to bring them everywhere. And so some of my footage from that has been stolen because I had a lot of evidence on people, and I had a lot of shit about abuse and gunfights. And then on that one computer that Jules brought that time, I was going through all the photos and videos, and there was a video of a gunfight that I got into, and it brought back some memories, and then that's when I saw that piece of shit, and I was like, oh yeah, I mean, I did get into a fucking nasty gun battle one time at when I was fishing. God damn, I can't think of that goddamn river that it was. But there's like a lake and a river over by Bayshore, in as they call it here in Milwaukee, White Folks Bay or Whitefish Bay. There's a little park, and I was fishing there, and I kept hearing the snap of bullets going past my head, zing, zing, snap, and I had my headphones on, and then I felt it, and I was like, oh, maybe it's a hornet. Felt it again, woof, and I felt a round impact. I saw it hit the water, boom, and then another one came out, and it cut my headphone off, woof, and it cut my face, and I immediately hit the fucking ground. And that's why I stopped wearing headphones in public. And I stopped wearing Bluetooth headphones because of the RF stuff and that Guyu on the spot was doing to try to manipulate me during the hypnotics and ketamine phase. So once that cord got cut from my ear, I hit the deck, and him and I were in a gunfight, I don't know, probably for 30 minutes. For a while, him and I were fucking flinging shit at each other. And I was able to get away safely. He was using a long rifle, and I had a pistol before it got stolen. So I got my way out of it, and that was another issue. I got back to my fucking car and realized my daughter was in the car, and they were hypnotizing me to forget my daughter was in the car. So I get back, and my daughter was fucking irate. She was like, it's so goddamn hot in here. And she's cussing and swearing and hitting me, and I didn't care. I deserved it. And I told her, I'm sorry, I gotta bring you to your mom's. And she was fucking pissed. She goes, I've been in here for 2 hours. You're lucky I had my phone. And she goes, I called my mom. I said, good. I said, you can't come over anymore. I said, I can't have you over anymore because of all this bad stuff that's happening. There's no reason I should be forgetting that you're with me. So I told her somebody's doing something, and it's not safe right now. So I brought her to her mom, and I said, she can't come here anymore. And it hurt so bad. But that's when her and I were in the car, me and my kid, and that's when my mirror got shot off. I was driving down the freeway, and these cocksuckers were chasing after me. That piece of shit was chasing after me and shot my mirror off. And I was out of ammunition, and where I think I had like 3 rounds in my center rest, and my daughter didn't know what's going on, and she's freaking out because she sees the fucking mirror explode, pop, boom, and then she hears the gunshots, pop, 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 and this guy had a long rifle, and I don't know if I think he was using either AR or something around there. And I got away. And I don't know if the cops pulled him over, but I knew I got away from him. I sped away, and I just told her it's not safe for you anymore, and I can't live with myself. Um, if something happens to you, and I, you know, gave it to her mom and told her mom, and I said, just stop bringing her over. I said, this can't go on anymore. I said, there's a lot of bad shit happening, and my daughter told her, somebody blew up my dad's mirror, and then one of my ex-wives was like irate, which I understand, and so that was hard losing that kid, and I saw my idiot half brother or half cousin's Instagram, the one where he stole my wife away from me, and I saw the photos that they manipulated and had him fix because he worked for the FBI, and it made me laugh and it made me mad, and I got to see one of my kids, and like right now I'm smiling because it brought happiness, it brought a sense of happiness back to me because I had her back, you know, and I don't know if she'll ever remember me or um, ever want to get to know me again, but I was very happy to see her growing up. And, the one thing about that uh, imbecile is that he does take good care of her. And and I remember talking to her about that. Um, I said, I don't like him. I'll never like him. And she's like, he's a nice guy. And I said, I know. I just want him to be nice to you. I don't care if he's nice to me. I don't want him to be nice to me. I just want him to be a professional to me. And she didn't know what that meant. And I said, I just want him to be good to you, to treat you like you are his own. And I see that he's been doing that. And it makes me happy. And it makes me happy that that ex-wife of mine is happy with him, even though I don't like the backstabbing piece of shit uh, husband. And I'm not a big fan of her either. She's a fucking bitch. She's a fucking good-looking, hot, dumbass bitch. But I'm happy that she's happy, and I'm happy that our uh, one kid is safe, and we had one kid who was in a wheelchair, but that one supposedly or has passed because I don't see any photos of her on their page, and I don't check all the time. I just remembered the idiot, and because he's famous. He's a really famous dude, actually, and I didn't see the kid that was in the wheelchair, so she must be gone. And that's the one that hurts. I saw the one that we shared, and I saw the photo that Asswipe put up because I remembered that day of that fucking photo. And it was life changing, And I suppose she'll always deny me being her dad or her you know birth father. I'm just glad that the asswipe's taking good care of her, and he's another one where I have to not violate him if I see him again. You know, and that is another real high point, or like high goal, I should say, besides this podcast growing and helping people who've been I've been through, and then getting the most important thing is my kids who got killed getting justice. The other goal is to catch the one with some of these motherfuckers, you know, especially that idiot. And I just worry that if I see her in public, or if I see her with her mom, I don't want her mom having a fucking meltdown, you know. And like I said, it just makes me happy that the idiot's taking care of her. And I just need her to know that I love her. And I always love her, and I always think about her. And I'm sorry that when she was with me, there was so much bullshit that went on. I'm just glad she's safe and healthy, and she's alive, and it just makes me happy that she seems happy. And another dumb quote I heard a long time ago was, and it doesn't make sense, of when you say it, you know, sometimes you'll lose to win, or something like that. Sometimes you have to lose in order to win. And I reflected on it the other day, and I was like, try to make sense of it, try to make sense of it, try to make sense of something that sounds so idiotic. But what I got from it was thinking about her and my other kids that have moved, is that sometimes you have to lose in order to win. Is, you know, they had to lose me for them to win. And if, you know, that's what it takes for them to be safe, and for them to be healthy, and for them to have a better life, and for them to not be in danger by scumbags or people coming after us, then that's what I'm understanding of the winning part of it. You know, them losing me is, you know, them winning in the end, because then they're going to be safe from my scumbag family trying to hurt them, or the idiots at the VA trying to hurt them, or just people in society, or the Toxic Avenger, the Flint River piece of Detroit trailer trash, you know, because she had a vendetta, you know, and she was a stripper and a famous adult performer, and she's just a sociopath. You know, she had a real famous boyfriend, and I mean real famous, and I beat his ass. I beat the shit out of that motherfucker. I saw him twice. I saw him on because people didn't believe it, and then I had, when I was in kind of, it wasn't even a professional K-hole. It's when they were holding me hostage at the VA. They contacted this famous guy, and then, you know, he got on the Skype, and then they put my face on there, and I forgot what I told him, but it was something like, "Hey, fuck face," and he immediately hung up. There was no, "Who are you? Why are you talking to me like that?" We locked eyes, and it was hilarious. But I want to thank you for joining me today. I will put another podcast out tomorrow, and I hope in the end that this helps some of you, whether it gives you hope, whether it helps you from going through what I've been through. And I wish you all the best. And I will see you next time.